Citigroup becomes the latest company to deploy AI agents, and they are not doing it halfway. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. We kick off today with a bit of a case study, this one from Citigroup via the Wall Street Journal, and it is very clear that for Citigroup, the agentic era has arrived. The bank has been steadily working on their proprietary AI platform over the past 2 years, and this month, the agentic capabilities of that system will go live. Users will be able to direct agents to complete tasks that access multiple systems within the company, with CTO David Griffith saying, "A couple of years ago, you could do agentic things with the early versions of the models that were available then, but they weren't always very reliable. They weren't always very good at invoking tools. But they are now." Griffiths explained that the new system is capable of things like researching a specific client, building a profile of them based on public information and internal datasets, and then translating a report into foreign languages all from a single prompt. The previous system was capable of each of these functions individually. The big change is connecting all of the workflows to remove the human touchpoints between each step. Said Griffiths, "That's just one example, and you can see how many thousands of examples of that kind of problem we would have in the company." In other words, the difference here is about autonomy. How many touchpoints do you require a human for versus just setting an agent on a task and letting it go figure out how to accomplish that task? The initial pilot of the agentic system will roll out to 5,000 Citigroup employees over a 4 to 6 week period. In other words, 5,000 Citi employees are about to get agent employees. Citigroup says that they will keep a close eye on the cost-to-value ratio of the new functionality. That said, most of the tasks that are being enabled at this stage are not super complex, long-running tasks. Most of the functions will be completed in only a few minutes. So for the moment, at least, the company isn't all that worried about cost. They also are struggling to estimate costs just given how fast things are changing. Griffith said the company had baked hard cost limits into the systems, but since the cost of model usage is coming down so quickly, it's very hard to come up with up-to-date and accurate return on investment calculations. If and as Citigroup's agents become capable of running for longer hours duration type tasks, cost is expected to be more of a factor. When asked whether at that point the agents would start impacting the workforce, Griffiths gave a surprisingly candid assessment. Does it mean we need less people? I don't know. It certainly means that we would get a lot more done, and we'll see how the workforce evolves with that massive boost of capacity that we're getting here. And this is, of course, the question. Does a company choose to reinvest the savings and efficiency from agents into cost-cutting, i.e. removing people, or into growth, i.e. trying to accomplish new things that weren't possible before? Obviously, those of you listening know which one I think is the better bet in the long term. Now, speaking of enterprise AI, one of the things that's become abundantly clear over the last few months is how hard the last mile implementation of AI systems really is. Outside of the simple assistants that you can hand over to your people and hope they do well with, AI systems, particularly agentic systems, aren't the type of thing that you just install and let go. They involve a lot of customization, connecting to particular data sources, feeding in information about SOPs and workflows, integrating agentic flows with existing human workflows. There's just a lot of work at the point of actual work. Luckily for enterprises, there are many companies who are trying to help with some aspect of that, and one of them is the latest AI unicorn. Distill AI has announced a monster Series B, raising $175 billion at a $1.8 billion valuation. The company, which was founded by former Palantir employees, has scaled up dramatically over the past year. Their last round was raised in November, raising $20 million at $200 million, so this is a 9x valuation jump inside of 12 months. The company aims to help Fortune 500s become AI native. Co-founder and CEO Arjun Prakash said, "The companies that win in the AI era are those that are willing to reimagine how they operate, not just what tools they use. AI is forcing enterprises to move beyond silos. Our belief is that the next chapter of AI leadership won't be won by models alone, but by operationalizing AI at scale in enterprises and transforming how they work." You would not believe, my friends, the number of times that I've had conversations with Silicon Valley's most vaunted investors who sit perched in their sandhill towers, who have said things with a straight face like, "Well, don't you think enterprises are just going to figure it out for themselves? Sure, this is an important problem for the next couple of years, but won't they just get it then?" Let's just say I'm glad to see indications that some of that thinking may be going away as the very complex reality of enterprise AI deployments comes clearer into focus. Moving now to the tool/feature launch section of the headlines, Perplexity has launched an email assistant. The announcement says that the assistant drafts replies, organizes messages, schedules meetings, and more. The feature is available as a plugin for Gmail and Outlook for all Perplexity Max subscribers, meaning that Perplexity is keeping this feature exclusive to their $200 a month subscription for now. Now, email assistants have been one of the most common use cases getting deployed They're starting to be added as a built-in feature for both Microsoft and Google, and premium standalone versions of that tool remain popular as well. Certainly the premium end of the market is where Perplexity is trying to play. If you read their announcement post, they're basically treating email as a small proxy for a larger personal assistant play. The company writes, "Email is more than a message center. Your inbox contains your professional memory, your relationships, calendaring, and coordination. Meanwhile, your outbox is your productivity and your reputation. The most successful workers and thinkers hire personal assistants for their email instead of relying on AI tools and algorithms that handle rote tasks. There's too much at stake. Perplexity's email assistant is more than a tool and available to anyone." We've talked a lot recently about context engineering and context orchestration, and basically Perplexity is saying is that the place that context lives for most people is in their email. One tweet that I thought was interesting about this came from Dmitry Shevelenko, Perplexity's chief business officer. He wrote, "The product we are launching today, which at first glance may seem pedestrian, has generated a remarkable volume of whoa moments the last few weeks of hourly use. So much alpha in elegant augmentation of core workflows." Now, of course, he is the CBO of this company. He has an incentive to get people excited. But frankly, it was that tweet which captured my attention before I even saw the announcement. And that, plus Perplexity's argument that email is the home of context, has me paying attention perhaps a little bit more than I otherwise would have. Another big theme we've recently been exploring is evaluations and benchmarks. And it turns out OpenAI is hiring for an applied evals team. The job ad reads, "We're hiring product-minded engineers to design and build evals and harnesses that capture real-world quality for advanced AI systems. This role sits at the center of model improvement. The systems you design will directly shape how models behave, accelerate their reliability, and raise the standard for what customers expect." Now, like I said, evals have been a big emerging theme over recent months, and they are no longer just about measuring how well a model performs, but are also playing an active role in reinforcement learning post-training. If you can define a particular goal and design a reward function around it using an eval, RL training methods can develop reliable model behavior to achieve that goal. Earlier in the month, Shyamal Andakat, who is building the team, posted, "Our goal is to build the world's best evals for the economically valuable tasks our customers care about most. Broadly, the art of evals is figuring out how to ask the right questions, but asking the right questions is really hard. In any domain, it takes real deep lived experience to define what truly good looks like. This work is super important, and we want to scale it." One more quick note on OpenAI. The rumor mill continues to swirl about those compute-intensive features coming soon, according to Altman. And while Sora 2 is still a leading candidate, RasorX captured an updated guess, writing, "OpenAI may soon unleash its internal reasoning model, the one that hit gold in math and coding purely through reasoning node tools. Whispers say it will be pro-only with ultra-limited usage unless you pay for extra credits. If true, we're looking at the first taste of true general reasoning sold as a scarce resource. With this kind of exclusivity, accelerate progress or gatekeep the future." One more today before we move over to the main episode. Oracle is doubling down on AI infrastructure with a C-suite shakeup. The company announced on Monday that CEO Safra Catz would be stepping aside after more than a decade in the role. She will take a new position as the executive vice chair on the company's board. In her place, the board has appointed Clay Maggiorek, whose name I'm sure I'm mispronouncing and I will learn as they move into this new role, and Mike Cecilia as co-CEOs. Clay came across from AWS in 2014 and founded Oracle's cloud engineering team. He has served as the president of Oracle's cloud infrastructure division for the duration of his tenure. Mike has held a series of different roles at the company since he joined via acquisition in 2008. Since June, he has held the position of president of Oracle's Industries division, and during an investor call to announce the move, Cecilia was described as responsible for much of Oracle's software stack. In a statement, Katz said, "Today, Oracle is recognized as the cloud of choice for both AI training and inferencing. I'm very proud of that. Oracle's technology and businesses have never been stronger, and our breathtaking growth rate points to an even more prosperous future. At this time of strength is the right moment to pass the CEO role to the next generation of capable executives." Those two obviously come to power at a very big moment for the company, which is at the epicenter of these swirling discussions around AI infrastructure buildouts and bubbles, which is, of course, the subject of our main episode, to which we will now head.